Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming tonight. We'll go ahead and start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. I apologize on how I sound. We had 2 nice days of weather, and my allergies are in overdrive tonight. So we have some student recognition this month, and I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Criscione to carry out with that.
Sure, thank you. So, really excited to have Anna Rossman here this evening, and we invited up her teacher, Dr. Doyle. So I was asked Dr. Doyle if he could take a step up for us and tell us a little bit about Anna's honor.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Corey Doyle. I teach AP Literature and Composition, which is the senior AP English class. The class is designed to reflect a college-level literature study course, and part of that involves looking at poetry. And as a way to sort of recontextualize and help with their understanding of poetry, the students are responsible for writing their own original poetry throughout the year. And along with that, they're encouraged, while it is optional, to submit their poetry to various literary magazines and journals that might have open call for submissions at various points throughout the year. And I'm happy to say that our senior this year, Anna Rossman, recently had a poem accepted for publication in the Suffolk County Poetry Review Journal. And it's one of 3 major literary journals on Long Island. And she's in there along with the Nassau County Poet Laureate, the Beat Poet Laureate for the United States. So she's in very good company there. So I'm happy to have her here tonight to kind of celebrate that accomplishment. So Anna, if you want to go up.
Anna, this is for you. Okay. It says, the Mount Sinai Board of Education Administration wishes to extend their congratulations to Anna Rossman, who's being recognized for the acceptance of her poem for publication in the Suffolk County Poetry Review.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Anna.
Thank you. I appreciate
You're welcome.
it.
Take a picture. Wait, before you go, Dr. Doyle.
First, I want to offer my congratulations to Anna. This is an impressive accomplishment, and we are so proud of you and of your work. I would like to take a moment to recognize Dr. Doyle. He humbly did not announce or share that he has also had a poem accepted for publication in the 2024 Suffolk County Poetry Review. He did not share this with us when he shared the news of Miss Rossman's distinguished accomplishment, but a colleague has made us aware. For those that do not know, this is not the first time that Dr. Doyle has been published. He has previously published a book of poetry and collaborated with a friend and illustrator to publish a children's book, which earned a Gold Medal Moonbeam Award. I commend you, Dr. Doyle, on these accomplishments and want to thank you for the passion and knowledge that you bring to our English classrooms. I wanted to acknowledge you for inspiring and encouraging through your daily teachings and for your writing accolades.
Yeah, I'm sure you have homework to do. That's my standard line. Thank you. Thanks for coming down, and thank you so much. Congratulations. So, around the district, lots has been going on. Our spring sports are in full swing. We have softball, baseball, lacrosse, track, softball, tennis, golf, just so many things going on, so many amazing moments happening. And now that the weather's gotten nicer, it's a lot better to go out in the sun than in the rain, so that's been very exciting. A couple of other exciting things. I don't know if you realize this, but we had an eclipse last week, so just some pictures, photos of the eclipse. Our elementary students were able to have glasses to take home with them. We had about half of the class picked up early on the day of the eclipse, which I thought was amazing. That might have been the biggest pickup session we ever had, and it was very organized, so that was very interesting. We had a trip last week through Hershey, Pennsylvania, and Philadelphia, so that was exciting for our 7th graders. Some other things, we featured a news day of our town, Mount Sinai. Some things going around the district with coding, watching some different classes. And of course, we have College Decision Day coming up for the high school on Friday, May 3rd. Please wear college apparel so that we can honor our seniors. Tonight, we're going to do our final budget workshop for 24 and 25 budget. The things we're going to talk about are state aid, the projected tax rate, the budget outline and predictions, some capital projects, and the propositions that'll be on the budget. So, just to give you a comparison over the last few years, our total budget in 22-23 was $63,833,470. We had a 2% increase. 23-24, it was $66,801,726 for a 4.65% increase. And this year we're doing a 3% increase, which is $68,805,778. So, right now, this is still a guessing game, because as much as we see the news, the governor saying, and different things coming out, we heard things Friday night that they were close to a deal. The governor came out last night and had a conference. But I don't know if many people watched it, but I did. And to me, she didn't give a lot of concrete information. They were not the 2 top leaders that were with her, that are working with her behind the scenes to support what the budget is. So quite frankly, even though she says she's doing the foundation aid and she's not doing the cut, we don't know if there are going to be any increases on top of that. We're not sure what the changes will be moving forward. It appears as though she's going to restore whatever she said she was cutting, but that looking forward, they're going to be having the Rockefeller Foundation do an analysis of the foundation aid and see what they will be doing in the future. She's basically promising that she's going to cut us at some point. We just don't know what that's going to look like. So we are just using the numbers that we had last year. We are not increasing the amount we got in foundation aid in any way. We're assuming we're getting the same amount that we got last year. So for our state aid, this is what it looks like. For last year, those are the amounts that we received: foundation aid, high cost aid, private aid, supplemental aid for special ed, building aid, transportation, high tax aid, textbook, computer, and BOCES. And then what we're projecting for this year. As you can see, we left the foundation exactly the same. The other numbers are what we received from the state, from the governor's proposal back in January. And so those are the amounts that we're receiving. And as you can see, that even with the amount staying the same, it's still less in state aid for next year. So the property tax rate for next year. Our total budget to budget increase, as I had mentioned, was a 3% increase. Taking out all the revenues, state aid, appropriated fund balance, tax levy, assessments, what we're saying is the average monthly change would be $29 a month for a household at a 3.22% increase on our tax levy. So if it's a 3% from year to year for the actual budget itself, but a 3.22% tax levy increase. So again, this is a repeat slide from the last time of our outline and predictions going last year, this year, and the next 2 years, what we anticipate. For this slide, last time we did it, it was with the cuts, I believe, but this year, this shows us what it looks like getting the same foundation aid this year and nothing extra in the future. Now, that's if they don't cut it next year or in the future, if they just keep it the same and give us no increases. So as you can see, as that happens, our fund balance goes down to a point that is not sustainable, because we need to keep a fund balance, we need to have our reserve, otherwise we do not have a healthy fiscal outlook, and that is not good for the district overall. Are there any questions on those figures? That's a repeat from last time. Okay, so some of the new information that I wanted to talk about before I move to the next slide. I want to talk a little bit about facilities projects, because one of the things that happened when I started last summer is, of course, everybody has different things they wanted to share as far as what needs to be done. And there's a big list of things that need to be done. As the staff likes to joke with me, I say add it to the list because it's a long list. And facilities projects is something that we're constantly working on. And a few years back, when the last bond did not pass, the district created the capital reserve, and that has been instrumental in us being able to get any projects done. So bravo to the district administrators who established that so that we could get work done every year. There's only a limit on how much money we can get into that fund because it's whatever we kind of squirrel away. And every year that we have less state aid and less money coming in is less money that we can put into that capital reserve. So we have a limited amount of money in our capital reserve. And one of the things I've been hearing about all the different projects that need to be done, obviously everybody talks about the parking lots, right? That's a big piece that we hear about all the time, and some of the different areas in the district that we need work in, whether it's roofs, whether it's doors, whatever the case might be. So we sat and looked at the long-term plan, the 5-year capital plan from years ago, and all the projects that we had wanted to get done in the last bond, what we have done over time from that list, and a lot of things have been done since then. A lot of those projects have been ticked off over the years through that capital reserve. So that's been very good. But in a lot of ways, we have to sit and look about what else do we need to have done, what can be done with a capital project, what could be done with perhaps an energy performance contract, and what is something we may want to consider down the road, perhaps a bond I might recommend to the Board of Ed, looking at some of the big projects that people have said we need to have done. So how do we evaluate our facility needs? I just wanted to talk about that for a second. So really, we really have to look at what we need as a whole as a district. So we look at our instructional program and what are enhancements and needs we have for that. So how are we teaching our students? What are the appropriate facility spaces? We want to make sure we have a conducive environment. So, for example, we're having our science labs done based on last year's voter approval. So that's enhancing learning spaces. And also, we have to keep up our buildings. So whether it's the electrical or the plumbing, putting in the new boilers, our heating units, air conditioning units, whatever the case might be, we have to keep up the infrastructure. So we also have to analyze our buildings, we have to complete visual inspections, we have to do a 5-year capital plan, and there's a school facilities report card that tells us whether we're in compliance with our buildings being healthy. So it's the combination of two things, our instructional spaces and what we absolutely have to do to keep our buildings functioning. So these are the things we look at as we talk about projects moving forward. So what I'm going to do is just lay out just about every project we've heard that has to get done or we'd like to get done, and I'm sure there's plenty more to add to the list. But we've kind of put them in different buckets based on where our funding is. Our capital reserve for this year is a limited amount of money. It's about $3 million, correct? So some of the things we've seen as a priority, we had a security audit done where I had someone from Homeland Security come in. They went through the district with a fine-tooth comb, going over some of the things we could do to improve. What are some enhancements we really should have that we don't have? So those are some of the things I'm going to talk about. And the money only goes so far. There are pieces that we figured out, and we worked with our architects, we sat with the board, and we figured that there are pieces that could go inside of an energy performance contract would actually not cost the taxpayers anything. So looking at that and what are ways that we could save money down the road by having less fuel costs and less energy costs. And then what are things we might possibly consider for a bond? And that's the conversation we'd like to have moving forward. What are the things that are priority after that that we could say, this is something we really want to get done, how can we go about that? So what are the things we're looking at right now? We're looking at new interior doors and hardware replacement at the elementary and middle school. So right now, we have much older doors at both of those places. A big concern is the locking systems on our doors, being able to lock the doors easily in the classrooms, being able to get in and out easily, getting in and out of the main building easily with perhaps a swipe card. So one of the things we are recommending is a security upgrade as far as using swipes, having a system that makes it much easier to lock all of our doors, which they're supposed to be doing at all times during teaching, and teachers can get in and out very easily. Getting in and out of the building. It also controls who gets in and out of the building with the swipes. So these are some of the things that were recommended that we should have based on our security audit. Also looking at the outer doors and making sure that they can't be propped open. There's an alarm system to let you know that if a door is propped open, someone knows that's happening. It also would have an automatic lockdown that we could push a button and lock all the doors in an emergency. So these are some of the areas that we were told were some things that should be high on our priority list. The other piece that we need an upgrade for is our phone system in district-wide. Right now, if it rains really, really badly, our phones go out. That is not a good place to be. We do not have the most up-to-date phone system. We also lose our internet here and there when it rains really badly. So one of the things that they recommend is that we absolutely have to have our phones updated district-wide. So that's another piece that we would like to consider. And the other piece that we're seeing, especially with the rain right now, I mean, the constant rain we've had, I feel like every year the rain gets worse and worse. It's really causing quite consternation when it comes to some of our sports. And when it comes to baseball, we have to cancel our games, we have to reschedule our games, same thing with softball. Every time it rains, and it rains a lot. So one of the last items for fields in our last proposition, which we've done everything else, is updating just the infields with turf. So one of the things we're looking at, that's the only thing we could kind of fit in with the rest of the 3 million as far as after getting all those security pieces in. It's really what we can fit in to complete as far as the initial projects that we had put out years ago. Some of the energy upgrades we're thinking about are looking at all the ventilators in all 3 buildings. Those are the unit ventilators, replacing lights and making them, changing them out to the most up-to-date lighting system, to, why can't I think of the name of it? What is it? LED instead of, right, we don't even have LEDs yet. Tying in our gas service, replacing our boilers, air compressor pumps, heat circulator pumps, motor replacements, all kinds of air conditioning units, heating units, field lighting upgrades, replacements, refurnishments. When we do these projects, this doesn't come out of the district's budget. This budget gets paid, this will be paid for through the energy performance contract. So what's nice about that is that it doesn't cost the taxpayers anything. We don't have to worry about any funds for that. It's really something we work with a company that's able to come in and update all of our the energy projects in our district. Any questions on that from the board?
I don't have a question, but I do want to also add to the EPCs. Those projects also reduce our costs over the long term. The reduction in energy costs, reduction in fuel oil costs for heating. So not only is it not coming out of the taxpayer's pocket, but it's also something that's going to reduce some of the costs that the district is paying out as it is. So.
Yeah, definitely lowers our electrical, our gas bills, and our oil bills. Some of the energy projects at the high school. Wait, was that the high school? That was the high school. Okay, so some of the other projects, now the lists are long, I could go on and on, but we took into consideration everything everybody has basically ever said to us. So it's whether it's things in the gymnasium, air conditioning upgrades, scoreboards, roof gutters, replacing rooftop ventilation fans. It's a mix of so many different things. PA system upgrades, other door replacements, room conversions, repointing. It's a mix of things that have to be done because ultimately we have to maintain our buildings, but a couple of other things that we should be doing because we should be modernizing our buildings. And if you look through some of the different things I've put in, so there's the high school, here are projects for the middle school, all the projects that we still need to have done for the middle school. Again, updated lockers, updated flooring, main gym flooring, replacement, some painting, exterior doors, another PA system. Our buildings have very old PA systems. Some of our stage and house lighting upgrades. Same thing, elementary school. I mean, a library renovation. Who wouldn't love a library renovation at our elementary school? We need a full roof replacement at the elementary school. That has to get done because we're at that point where it's time to totally replace that. Again, painting, flooring, ceiling replacements. These are all things that have to be done. So I think the conversation has to be for a lot of these projects that are not the most needed immediately. We really have to consider putting out a discussion about a bond to cover the 3 buildings and the different projects. The parking lot, we got pricing to do our parking lot because that's a big project. And the only way we really would be able to do that is through a bond because the costs involved are tremendous. It's the entire district. It would be realigning where the road is, changing the road to the outer rim of the district, around the elementary. So where they have an unofficial road is where we would make the road. I mean, people made it the road. We would actually make that the road, straight through. We would lower the speed bumps, Brad. We would really take care of those speed bumps for you. So you don't have to, because you're going to help us do a bond so that we can get rid of them and do the right thing with the whole parking area, correct? All right. And a lot of times we get a lot of concerns from community members, families about some of the landscaping and the grass and all the pieces around near the parking lot and how it's not kept up. Well, we have little strips of grass all over the place, and we have a limited crew to constantly go and clean those grassy little areas between the parking lots. I kind of don't know the purpose of the green in between that except to cause some headaches from the people who have to clean it all the time. So if we were able to make some more space over there and some nicer area without it being grass, that would make it look aesthetically better than it does right now and be more functional. So those are the kind of things we're thinking about. So I wanted to present that to the community and to the board because that's the direction we're going in. We're looking at a long-term plan for everything. We're not just trying to patch this and that. We really want to have a comprehensive, first the capital project, then an energy performance contract, and then ultimately down the road a bond. So we want to tie it all together that it all makes sense. So I hope that's understandable to everybody. So we really are thinking about these things and they know the importance of it. So bathrooms across the district for students. I mean, there's a lot of upgrades that we need. So the list goes on and on. So what are we proposing? This is in the exact pieces that we're looking at. At the middle school, so we're looking at interior door and hardware replacement. There are 92 wood doors. At the elementary school, we're talking about 80 wood doors, replacing them and the hardware. We're talking about the entire district, an exterior door security upgrade, so that D door jar I was mentioning, and key fob entries, so an entry system to get in and out, as opposed to what we're using now. Interior door hardware upgrade, which is a wireless lockdown set of hardware on all the doors. The phone system upgrade with a battery backup. The infield for the baseball field with backstop fencing, and the softball field infield turf. So this would not cost any extra funding to the taxpayer. It would be a proposition on our vote. So it will continue to come out of the capital reserve. So, but we do need taxpayer approval for the capital reserve projects.
Yeah, let me take just a moment to explain that. This is money that the district has. This has been money that has been in excess, say, above our fund balance that we've moved over into capital reserve. But when the money sits in capital reserve, it's kind of a general capital account. And for us to use that money, it needs to be applied to specific jobs and approved by the community to be moved out of there and applied to the specific jobs that we're telling you about. But again, this is not money that we're asking for above and beyond. This is not a bond. This is money that the district already has sitting in capital reserve, waiting to be used on capital projects.
Great. Does anybody else have any other questions? Yeah.
So we started with different priorities in the district, and most importantly, the money. We only had so much money, whereas, say, bathrooms, I completely agree with you on.
Right.
Right. So and I think that's where Christine was really explaining some of the things that we were talking about, looking into a bond down the road, because the costs are just so excessive. For us to do it with capital, we either wouldn't be able to do the project with capital, or it would take several years to save up enough to do a project like that, and we wouldn't be able to do anything else along the way. So projects like what you're talking about are things that we're looking into to do potentially through a bond on a bigger scale down the road. Whereas this little bit of money that we squirrel away is money that we use to do the smaller projects that we can get 2 or 3 of them done at a time, like the security systems and the doors and the failing phone systems and stuff. So.
Dr. Criscione, can you talk a little bit more for the community about those doors and how they're going to work with the safety?
Sure. So, what's going to happen is they're going to put hardware on there that'll be electronic and wireless so that it connects to a card. So only certain people will have access with cards. So the card will say, I'm Mrs. Smith, my classroom is room 201, and so my card is programmed to open up only room 201. So I can, or that hallway, whatever the school says you're allowed to open, bathrooms or this, or the outer door to get in during certain times. So they'll say, okay, you're only allowed to come into the building between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. during the week, and you're not allowed to go in on the weekends. So it's very controlled. You can see who's coming in and out of your building. The doors stay locked so people can get in and out of the building. So when we have events after school, I know one of the concerns a lot of parents have brought up is sometimes our doors are open and, not manned after hours or late at night because we have sports going on things. But if we have adults that are able to swipe into a building because they're allowed to, it'll make life easier to be able to keep doors locked. So that'll be in the inside and the outside. So in the inside, it's based on your classroom, and then you can lock your door easily. Right now, we have systems that they use keys to lock the doors. So for a teacher to go in and have to lock their door, if the principal had to get in that classroom, to jumble for a key while you're in the middle of, you're nervous about something, or you're hearing you have to get into your classroom, there's going to be a lockdown, or you hear there's some type of an emergency, to worry about getting your keys and jumbling around and I've got to lock this door and I've got to make sure this. Swipe it and boom, you're in, closed and locked. It just locks automatically. So and that's really the recommendation we were given, is that we really have to get those doors locked. And this is the easiest way to get that out there, to have everybody be able to get behind locked doors when necessary.
You lose a lot of time trying to key into every single door you need to get into. And like you said, if you're fumbling, if you have multiple keys and you need to get in, it just takes longer and longer. So the swipe is much more effective.
Right. And if you're taking the kids outside to play in the playground, what happens in elementary school, and it happens everywhere, it's not just us, it's everywhere. Someone's going outside with the class, and they don't have a key to get back into the building, because who has the keys for the outside? The principal, right? Or the custodians. So what do? And they shouldn't be doing it, but people do. They put a chalk in the door so that it's open. But that means anybody can come in through that door. But if you have the ability to just swipe in because you are working with the kids at that time and it's programmed to let you do that, you can close the door behind you and get back in.
Right, and there will be swipes at multiple points.
Yep.
In my district, we have one of most exterior doors, so if I'm on the opposite side of the building and it's not like I have to
Right.
go to a certain one and
Correct.
swipe back in, we're working on our classroom doors too. We don't have that right now.
Right. So that's why if we can do the whole thing district-wide, that's the key. And so that is the thing is, that's a very expensive project, that security piece, and I'm just explaining a little bit on yours. And because we are a little bit behind the 8 ball with that security, where other places are way ahead of us, and so since that's the priority, that's eating up a lot of the money out of that $3 million. And so the little bit that's left over, that other project for just the infield, it's actually a small section, it's not the whole field, it's just the infield, has been on that list for years. It's almost like we have this going list, and so they've been waiting and waiting and waiting. And it is causing some difficulty during the season that we have to cancel games because we can't play in the rain because there is no, it's right, Mr. Arrington, it's muddy, it's horrible, and we're one of the few districts that doesn't have the turf. And so we're really falling behind when it comes to our, baseball and softball. So that's really the reasoning behind that.
Struggle too sometimes that, we try and balance as best as we can where the monies go, whether it be educationally, like last year, we have the money that renovating the old science labs, or to the sports, the turf field, or to security over the district.
And we updated the HVAC, air conditioning. We have better air conditioning than other districts, in our classrooms, and, we've done a lot with that. Sure.
Fun baseball and softball. I'm really excited about that. My son's a senior, so he's gonna miss it. But you're right. It's been so wet and muddy. We never know when the games are, and at this point, we're told you can't do anything as a family on the weekend. You have to be prepared for a game canceled to be played, and it's very difficult for the family to work around that. And that field is used for football too. So football practice, it destroys the field, and so I'm excited about it.
Yeah, every year we have to fix that field before baseball season. That's a lot of effort, and parents I know have contributed, have donated materials and supplies, and Mr. Ray has to save money to fix that field every single year, and we're wasting that money every year.
My family donated $2,000 for soil for the fields to repair. On the lockers, I know that was in the bond that we tried to pass a couple years ago. On that one, I would kind of question the need for that right now. I know the lockers are old, but kids can't use them, they're not being assigned lockers. So, I'm kind of wondering why we need lockers if they're not allowed to be used. And also the passing time between the classes is only 3 minutes. So I know my kids in the district, they don't have time to use their lockers. And when they do,
In here, it's not the high school lockers, it's the middle school, the middle school lockers.
well, just the lockers in general, right?
This is
Like,
the
even
middle
in the middle school, they seem to not, in practice, it couldn't be used. And I would love for them to be used, but the time compression of the school day kind of means they can't be used and the kids won't use them. If we could add in like 2 minutes between each class, which I know adds up because we have 9 periods.
And that's
okay,
why
it's-
it's less time. Yeah, because there's a limit with the state rules for time, unfortunately, we can't, if we have to extend our school time,
Yeah.
believe it or not.
No,
That's why they have the night.
I went through the math and I was like, oh wow, this has a lot of
It's for the
time.
time, yeah.
So, I mean, unless we did something like change our schedule, so instead of 9 periods every day, we had longer periods, and that would kind of upend our whole instructional curriculum. But the lockers, just based on the realities of what we're seeing at the time, that kind of thing, I'm not sure that's a great use of our money right now.
So I just want to point out, that this was like every project.
Imagine, this is way a lot more than we would even put in a bond. So this is just to throw out there, like, these are all the things we definitely would have a discussion about, okay, what are the big priorities that we would want to fix?
And then my last comment on the potential of bond is, I don't think there's anybody left on the board that was part of when we did the bond. Was it 7 years ago?
2017, right?
Yeah. So there was, obviously that got defeated. And we've done a lot since then. But I think in order to have that pass, or have a prospect of passing, there needs to be a lot more community engagement than happened last year.
You're well aware.
Yeah.
Well aware.
So I know you guys know the community and you're thinking about that. I just kind of want and maybe I hear that there's got to be so much more outreach. There's a lot of folks that don't, like in our last Senate meeting, we were talking about things and there was a lady that said, well, I don't have kids in this district, why do I care about the school? And I jumped in and said, our school drives our property values. If we don't have a good school, our property values suffer. So we all as a community need to care about the school and we got it.
That's been a topic that's been discussed by us a lot. I mean, I don't want anybody who was here in 2017 to think that any bond that we put together is going to be remotely like that. It's going to be very, very different. And it's not going to be just a series of some presentations, on a month-to-month. It's going to be out in the community space, online, special presentations, town hall type stuff, videos, things on the district website. It's going to be everywhere for you. There'll be pathways for people to ask questions, get the answers that they're looking for. And that's a little bit down that road.
It's not something that's happening tomorrow. I just kind of want to put everything out there for both to see that there's a lot to be done. So what are the propositions that?
Be on the vote, our budget, the library budgets, and our capital project. So just an overview of who voted in May over the years. This is just a breakdown that's been done every year for you to show, out of our registered voters, the number of people who vote for our school budget. So we have 10, as of last year, 10,676 registered voters, 1,200 voted, that's a little above 10% for the budget. And it just shows you the breakdown of age ranges of who voted, just to give you the sense. Absentee ballots will be available upon request, so if anyone would like to vote, but they're not going to be here, you don't have to tell us why. Just reach out to Ms. Porio, and she will get you an absentee ballot. Correct, Ms. Porio? Okay. Any questions about our voters? So, please come out to vote on Tuesday, May 21st. And some of the important dates. We have to adopt our property tax report card by April 26th. Tax report card sent to the State Ed Department on the 29th. The budget hearing will be the 14th. and the vote is the 21st. Lastly, some of our upcoming events. We've got our drama club production on Thursday. It's a student-run production. What does that mean, I asked? They're doing Almost Maine, and it's completely run by our students. So adults did not help them. So I can't account for what.
Do we get that changed on the signs? Because the signs had 18th and 24th on it.
Oh, what sign did it say?
The sign by the street had 2 dates on it. It's only a
By the high
one-day
school?
show. By the 25A side had it. Had
Okay.
2 dates on it yesterday.
Okay. Can we check that? I didn't see that, but okay. Okay, and we have a spring recess next week, 22nd to the 26th. National Honor Society spring induction at the high school on the 2nd. College Decision Day, wear your college shirts, the 3rd. 7th grade trip to Boston is the 3rd and the 4th. Junior prom the 4th, and the Grable Memorial Run at the high school on the 5th.
Is anything being done for, like the opposite of College Decision Day, if you're doing vocational school, and where just continue your education in a different way to recognize students that might not be going off to college, but still to congratulate them and make something special for them? Or
I believe we were talking about doing something for that, but this is specific just for that, because it's the college acceptance day, because it's a standard the beginning of May, because their date is May 1st, but I know that's something we've been talking to Mr. Pramataris about. And that is my report.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to the exciting stuff.
the agenda?
The agenda. Nick, if you would, approval of minutes.
Sure. Approval of minutes resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent. The Board of Education hereby accepts the minutes of the March 20th, 2024 regular meeting and April 9th, 2024 special meeting as submitted.
Thank you, Nick. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Karen. All in favor? Thank you. Karen, the personnel items, you're just going to do A.
Personnel, retirement, elementary teacher John Costa, resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby accepts the resignation for retirement purposes of John Costa effective July 1st, 2024.
Thank you, Karen. Can I have a second? Second. Thank you, Chuck. All in favor? Very good. Christie, if you would, resignations and dismissals.
Resignations, dismissal. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves items 1 through 3 as listed.
Thank you, Christie. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Nick. I think he beat you. All in favor? All right. Chuck, if you would, appointments. C.
Appointments. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves items 1 and 2 as listed.
Thank you, Chuck. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Christie. All in favor? Thank you. Nick, action items number 6.
Action item number 6, Committee on Special Education, resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education has no objections to the special education recommendations and approves the authorization for the funds to implement the special education programs and services consistent with such as listed below.
Thank you, Nick. Can I have a second?
Second.
Karen, I'll give you that one. All in favor? Excellent. Karen, let's start with the action items. We're going to do those individually.
Action items, annual vote. Number 1, annual meeting voter propositions. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby adopts the following propositions: 24-25 school district budget, library services capital project to be voted upon at the May 21st, 2024 annual meeting. Proposition 1, 24-25 school district budget. Shall the proposed budget of the Mount Sinai Union Free School District for the fiscal year 24-25 in the amount listed be approved and the requisite portion thereof be raised by a levy of a tax upon the taxable property of the school district? Proposition 2, library services. Shall, for the purpose of enabling the residents of the Mount Sinai Union Free School District to obtain the benefit of library services, the Board of Education contract with the Comstock Public Library and the Port Jefferson Free Library for library services commencing July 1, 24 through June 20, 25. For the amount listed, and that a tax be approved in such amount to be levied upon the taxable property of the school district. And Proposition 3, capital project. Shall the Board of Education of the Mount Sinai Union Free School District be authorized to appropriate and expend from the Capital Reserve Fund established as of May 15th, 2018, an amount not to exceed $3 million for the purpose of undertaking school building projects as set forth in a plan prepared by the district with the assistance of its architects to commence during the 24-25 school year. All site work required in connection therewith, as well as preliminary and incidental costs related thereto shall be authorized.
Thank you, Karen. Can I have a second? Thank you, Chuck. All in favor? Christie, action items, number 8.
Action items. Action items, business. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves action items 1 through 11 as listed.
Thank you, Christie. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Nick. All in favor? Excellent. Now we're going to slide it back. That's it? Move forward. All right. Well, it's over to you, Tavish.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Tabish Farrell, and I'd like to update you on this past month's happenings. In the elementary school, they had quite a busy month. Like we mentioned before, there was the solar eclipse. Mr. Catlin and Ms. Tepfenhart held an assembly about the recent solar eclipse. Students learned about this rare occurrence, and both students and staff were given special eclipse glasses at dismissal to safely view the event. The 3rd and 4th grade book clubs continued this month. The current selection for the 3rd grade is Bob by Rebecca Steed. This irresistible tale of magic, mystery, and friendship is centered around a theme of belonging, while the 4th graders are reading I Survived the Sinking of the Titanic. It's a graphic novel filled with facts and historical photos. We have the coding club. So students in the coding club are creating video games and animation projects using the Scratch application made by MIT. They are learning coding concepts like control structures, looping, and if-then statements with block code. With these coding building blocks, students are learning how to engage in interactive and outside-of-the-box thinking. Next, we have the elementary library week. So the elementary school celebrated Library Week this past week. Each day had a designated theme, from read about an influential athlete and dress like them, to guess who the mystery reader is over the loudspeaker. The week ended with the announcement of the winners of the Design a Bookmark contest. The winning bookmarks were copied and distributed to all the students. I didn't receive my copy yet, so I would love to have one of those bookmarks. ALS Ride for Life. The 4th grade student council is once again showing their support for the ALS Ride for Life program. They are accepting $1 donations that allows a student to write their name on a paper baseball that will be displayed in the school cafeteria, and funds will be donated to Mr. Pendergast's ALS Ride for Life. On to the middle school, we have the April Fool's fundraiser. The April Fool's fundraiser was a big success, raising $115, which will be donated to charity. Students learned a little bit about where and how April Fool's Day started while raising money to help find a cure for cancer. The 8th graders went on a trip to Philadelphia and Hershey Park. Highlights included visits to the Liberty Bell, the President's House Memorial, Independence Hall, the National Constitution Center, the Rocky Steps, and the amazing roller coasters at Hershey. Currently, the Student Council is meeting to plan for Teacher Appreciation Week, the Ice Bucket Challenge, 8th grade class day, and the Moving Up Dance. There will be more on these next month. And then finally, we have high school events. We have the girls basketball coach who just won a very big honor. Congratulations to Coach Kutstantinu. I apologize if that pronunciation isn't perfect. Named as the League 6 Coach of the Year in girls basketball. As well as what was previously mentioned, many of our Mount Sinai athletes are recognized by Newsday this month. Congratulations to Olivia Salmon for being named to the Newsday All Long Island Cheerleading, and congratulations to Brooke Napolitano for being named to the second team. And huge shout out to Brendan Farback for being named Newsday's Long Island Wrestler of the Year. Congratulations to Josie Albano and Alex Audia for being named to the Newsday's Top 100 Softball Players of the Year for 2024. Newsday's Top 100 Baseball Players, congratulations to Benny Franquiz for being named to the Newsday's Top 100 Baseball Players for 2024. And then we have Lucas Lafarge for being named to the Top 100 Boys Lacrosse Players for 2024. Kaylee Serranate, Alexa Spallina, and Peyton Coma for being named the Newsday's Top 100 Girls Lacrosse Players for 2024. On the topic of sports, spring sports have begun in the high school. Please come out to support our JV and varsity teams in lacrosse, baseball, softball, tennis, track, and golf. And quickly in other news, we have the robotics teams. The Mount Sinai robotics team competed at the first Long Island regional competition at Hofstra University. The team overcame many challenges and created an amazing robot. Their passion and teamwork helped them secure the prestigious Gracious Professionalism Award. The Tri-M trip occurred on April 3rd. That's the Music Honor Society of the high school. The students had their annual trip to New York City. Students took the railroad to Penn Station, visited the drama book shop, ate at a family-style Italian restaurant, DiNapoli's, and followed a live performance of Back to the Future, the musical, on Broadway, which I was there. It was incredible. The students had a great time and loved the show. And lastly, we have the musical 1776. The high school recently performed the musical 1776 to sold-out crowds. Every night of the performance, the auditorium was packed with students, parents, and community members. There was excellent acting by the cast, beautiful music by the pit, and a stellar job done by the crew. Thank you.
Thank you, Tavish. Do we have any questions from the crowd? Brad, did you get them all out?
A mixture, attrition and some movements here and there, so we're still working on that.
Anybody else? If there's nothing else, can I get a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn. Thank you, Chuck. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Nick. I'm pretty sure everyone's in favor.